Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chief Marketing Officer Chandar Pattabhiram.
Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing today? Awesome, awesome. That's great. You know, I was in the Marriott Hotel this morning, and I was looking at myself in front of the mirror and trying to simulate the situation. It doesn't feel the same. This feels a lot different. And I'm saying, you know, should I sing? Should I dance? Should I crack a joke? And I said, you know what? I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to sit here, come here, just absorb this moment for a second, absorb this energy, because it's such an honor and privilege to be in front of the marketing nation today. Thank you. Thank you. Amazing day yesterday. James Gordon, Steve Lucas, who enjoyed the sessions and enjoyed all the parties and made it to last call. There's a reason why we started at 11 a.m. this morning. But we have an incredible day for you today, starting with this keynote. I'm going to kick it off and give my point of view on winning in the engagement economy. And then Adweek is here with the CMOs of some of the best brands, 4 CMOs from some of the best brands in the world, talking about engagement and how they're going to drive engagement in their respective organizations. And then Queen Latifah is going to be joining us today. And she's going to be talking about how she engages people in an authentic way as a storyteller, as a performer. And then don't forget, tonight, 8:30 p.m., 4-time Grammy winner, Train. And all of us are going to be there along with you tonight at Train. Now, speaking of the engagement economy, Steve gave us a very, very powerful vision yesterday of the engagement economy and what we need to do to drive revenue, build brand, and grow revenue, build brand, and prove impact, and how we need to start engaging meaningfully to ultimately lead and win in the engagement economy. Now, the question is, for all of us marketers, what does winning mean? And for that, I want to go back to the year 1981, when the great Al Ries and Jack Trout, so the great marketers in America, said winning for us marketers means one thing: winning the battle for the mind. Because they said that the engagement wars are fought in the minds of the buyer, and only those who win the mind will win the marketplace. Now think about it, folks. We buy products and services every day. The question is, do we buy those products or services, or do we buy the emotion with those products or services, or the connection with those products or services? And that's what we buy, the emotion, the connection. And the great brands have recognized this. They've used that emotion as a weapon of mass influence to build an association for life with us and ultimately own an attribute in our mind. So as a result, if you think of the attribute, you automatically associate with the brand. So let's test this together with a simple game. I'm going to give you a set of attributes. I want you to spend 5 seconds to think about the brand that comes to your mind. So let's do this. Different, creative, beautiful products. Apple. Now, we have in common, so Apple has won the battle for my mind because it owns those attributes in my mind. Action, athleticism, winning. Nike. Nike has also won the battle for my mind in that. And then last, luxury, performance, engineering. I hear BMW, I hear Tesla. Right. Tesla, Marketo customer. My mind. No, but here's what's beauty about it. Tesla has done something really, really interesting and very, very challenging to do for us marketers, folks. They actually unetched BMW from my mind. Because 5 years ago, I'd have said the ultimate driving machine in my mind was BMW. But today, Tesla owns it in my mind, which is a very, very difficult thing to do in marketing. Now, when it comes to engagement, great. There's Tesla, there's Nike, there's Apple. Those are great brands. How do the rest of us do this? For that, based on our experiences here at Marketo, and based on what we have seen, great examples in the marketing nation, I'm going to keep it simple today and give you 3 A's. So if you figured everything else I said today, just remember the 3 A's that I'm going to take you through in the next 10 minutes. The first A is the art of storytelling. The battle for the mind can only be won by winning the battle for the heart. And the art of storytelling is the best way to capture the heart. Now, it's interesting, as CMO of Marketo, I'm saying that because we were the company that kind of drove the shift in marketing from being a soft science to a programmatic and measurable science. But true engagement, folks, always begins with storytelling because it takes the art to reach the heart. It takes the heart to build that emotional connection that I was talking about. It takes that storytelling to go beyond that data to build that bond with that buyer or that customer. Now, let's explain this. Here is the data about adoption of kids last year in the United States. 111,820 waiting to be adopted, 53,549 adopted, 52% adopted by foster parents. I touch my heart. Does this connect with me? It doesn't for me. But on the other hand, behind this 53,489 kids that are waiting to be adopted or were adopted were 53,489 personal, emotional, enriching, life-changing stories that captured my heart and helps us engage more. Now, specifically, there is one story that really captured my heart because it was somebody I knew that really captured me. I want to share that with you today. And this is a story of Steve Lensberg and his wife Sheila, who I know. And they were kind enough to let me share this story today. Now, Steve and Sheila tried to have kids for many years. They had a couple of miscarriages, and then they tried for 2 years to adopt kids. And it was emotionally draining, it was financially draining, they were getting nowhere with it. So they said, we're going to give it 1 more year before we're going to call it quits because maybe they were not meant to be. And then what happened is 11 months go by, nothing happens. So it's in November. They're giving up hope that they're going to have the baby. They get a call from their lawyer saying that there is a widowed woman in Maui who now wants to he's going to have a baby in 1 month and has decided to choose them, and they live in New York. So they're being excited and saying, yes, this is our chance. Now this is it. So they buy all the furniture. They book their trips to Maui. And then they get the call in mid-December and saying, it's off because the boyfriend of that widow has custodial issues and not going to do that. So they were heartbroken. Nothing, they can't have the kid. Maybe it was not meant to be. Canceled all the trips, threw all the furniture out. And then 2 days after Christmas, the story changes again. They get the call, and they said, the boyfriend is now moving to Alaska, so you can come back and adopt the baby. So they make the trip all the way. 2 days after that, New Year's Eve, to Maui, land in the hotel. It's 12:30 in the night, they land, or 1:30 in the morning they land. They go in there, and there is a note on their hotel desk, congratulations, it's a girl, because the girl had been delivered on New Year's Eve. And that story, when it was told to me, touched my heart. The data didn't. And here is the couple today, guys. That's Steve's story. Now, the question is, when I touched my heart, was I knowing Steve? That hit me more than any data could. And that's the point. So how do we all tell great stories? Now, what's the magic for us? Now, here is a great tip with this video. Let's roll the video, please. Yes, when you reach for the heart, you capture the mind. Now, we all had those list of 10 things, but we all need to take the 3 and own it. And for me, here are the 3 for myself that I use for storytelling. Be interesting and be meaningful. Be authentic. Now, James Corden talked about this yesterday. Authenticity is the foundational fabric of any communication. The story of self, when you're talking about being sincere, honest, real, connects with people. And be relevant. And that's another thing James Corden said today. If you're not relevant, people are going to tune you out. Now, I'm learning this the hard way with my kids. I love to give sports analogies, and when I try to talk to my daughter about Dallas Cowboys football, I'm trying to explain to her to do better math homework. She says, Dad, I don't get it. It's not relevant. So that's one of those things that relevance is very, very important. So those are my 3 rules, but whatever we pick the 3, let's own it and master the art of storytelling. So that's the first A, which is art of storytelling. The second A is adaptive engagement. Now, we've talked about the art. Now we're going to combine the art with the science to maximize customer engagement. Now, as marketers, if you think about it, as Steve mentioned yesterday, it's about listening, it's about learning, it's about engaging. Now, if you just take listening, the paradigm of listening has completely reversed over the years. For many years, as far as marketers, we brand stalked and our customers listened. Now, the first digital example of this in the big screen was in the year 1947. So I thought I'll play you the first TV ad ever. Here it is. Roll the video, please.
America runs on bull of a time.
That's it, folks. Marketing was simple back then. It's changed a lot since then. But that paradigm has shifted because it has gone from brands talking and customers listening to customers talking and brands listening. Actually, customers talking and everybody listening because they're influencing other customers too. But the key word there is listening. But it just doesn't stop with listening. It's listening, learning intelligently, and successfully engaging at every step of the journey because an engagement is a sum total of every touch. And it's this continuous loop of listen, learn, and engage. And the big difference for us is we can do this at scale today. And we have the engagement platform that we talked about and reaching millions of users in a highly individualized way and do the listen, learn, engage at scale. Now, a great example of this in the real world is Netflix. How many of us use Netflix today? It's Captain Obvious question. There's a lot of people here. Now, when Netflix engaged me the first time, they couldn't listen to my behavior because I hadn't engaged with the brand. So they engaged me based on who I am. 40-plus-year-old guy when I started it, Indian American. They said, okay, this is kind of the profile of this person. And here was my Netflix screen the first time I engaged them. Lots of crime, lots of drama, and that was my Netflix screen the first time I went. But every time I started engaging, Netflix listened, they learned, and they engaged. And here is my Netflix screen a few weeks ago. Lots of rom-coms. My wife and I, my lovely wife who's here, and I share an account. And, I like them too. And we've been watching together. But the key point there is the listening, learning, and engaging at scale and doing this today. Now, what's interesting, folks, is that there are great examples in the marketing nation of companies listening, learning, and engaging at scale. And you're going to hear one in a few minutes from Panasonic. And there's great examples of that. But the ability to do, the key point here is shift to behavior-based engagement. And that's what's going to help us win the battle for the mind when it comes to being adaptive. The other point I want to make when it comes to being adaptive is acting life cycle. Not talking life cycle, acting life cycle. The question for all of us is how many of us in our respective marketing teams are spending dollars, people dollars and program dollars, for anything outside of acquisition marketing? Are we spending it for cross-sell? Are we spending it for adoption? Are we spending it for retention and growth? The data says only 13% of us marketers do that today. 87% of us marketers are focused on acquisition marketing based on the CMO Club and Deloitte that just released a data, and that's been consistent across a lot of different surveys. So the key point in being adaptive is let's act across the life cycle. At Marketo, In the last 2 years, 2 years ago, we had 0 people focused, dedicated on cross-sell and adoption, and we have today dedicated teams for that. And we have to think about the life cycle in this way. Think about building the bond early. And think about growing up and evolving with the customer to create a relationship a bond for life and a relationship for life. This next ad is a great metaphor for this life cycle point I just made. Can we roll it, please?
Let's go, Dad! Dad!
Today's the day that will last forever.
Do you want to know a secret, Dad?
We go along a winding road. The sunshine will last forever.
Come here, Dad!
I'll be with you always. I'll be with you today.
Dad!
What do you think, Doc? Doc! You can do it, Doc.
I'll be with you always.
Hey, why the name Duck?
Hey, buddy. This is Duke. Hi, Duck. Duck. Wait for me, Duck! Wait for me!
That was a great ad, just captured the essence of engaging across the life cycle. So I thought I'd share it today. Okay, so that's adaptive engagement, behavior-based engagement across the life cycle. I leave you with the third A, which is advocacy. Now, Steve talked about this yesterday in a very articulate way, that the 2 metrics that matter in the engagement economy over time are how many brand advocates we create and how much lifetime value are you driving. Because if you win over the long term, if you have people paying you more, and if you have people staying with you longer, and people shouting from the rooftop, you are winning the battle for the mind. And that's why brand advocacy is so important. Now, a lot of times, to measure brand advocacy, it's been challenging because we have been confusing loyalty with advocacy. And those are 2 different terms. So case in point, sorry, can you just go back? Hit the next slide, please. Okay, and the next one? Is that the video? Can you? Okay, so let me continue this. The difference between loyalty and advocacy. Now, I have been with my airline for the last 15 years. I got 400,000 miles with them. I use them very often. But am I an advocate of them? Actually, no, I'm actually an advocate of them recently, given that the skies haven't been that friendly. But statistically, I'm loyal to them because I've been there for 15 years. And that's what we got to distinguish between. That is not advocacy, that's loyalty. And advocacy, on the other hand, is someone who's really passionate about your brand and is willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that their experience with your brand never changes. Let's see this video to see who's a great advocate. Can you play the video, please?
We swapped out the Whopper for a Wendy's burger to see what would happen.
This is clearly a Wendy's burger.
Clearly.
Right. Okay, they have the square patty.
I hate Wendy's. What's going on? I eat Burger King. I don't eat Wendy's.
What can I do to resolve this?
All I want is a Whopper.
Okay.
Get me a Whopper.
Okay. There's the boss. We didn't pull a prank on you.
Whopper. Anything else is a freaking disappointment.
Now that is a brand advocates, folks. And that's what we all need to get that kind of, I do like Wendy's, by the way. So that's the kind of brand advocates we need. But how do we create these brand advocates? The aha for us, folks, is that our best brand advocates are sitting right next to us when we go back to our offices. It's our employees. So when we build brand advocacy, let's build it inside out rather than outside in. Because happy employees make happy customers. And passionate employees, that passion permeates through the employees, and passionate employees make passionate customers. And that's how great brand advocacy is built. Now, a great example of that is Walt Disney. How many of us have been to Disneyland? Great, many of us in the audience here today. I took my daughters, my wife and I took our daughters earlier this year to Disneyland, and it couldn't have been a more perfect testament of building a brand inside out. The brand promise for Disney is the happiest place on earth. Now, every interaction that we have at that place, whether it's the pizza person or whether it's Princess Jasmine, that passion and that brand promise is permeated. And as a result, it kind of reflects on all of us as customers, and we take that passion. So that's a great example of building a brand inside out. Now, the other personal experience for us is the day Steve Lucas joined Marketo. Comes to me and saying, Chandar, how are you? I still can't say your last name, I'm not going to do it. But can you please hire me first an employee engagement person? Now, that's great vision from Steve to understand and to drive our vision of building brand advocacy. And we have a great lady called Kristen on Karen Steele's team, who's our head of corporate marketing. Yes, Kristen, hi. Who is driving our employee brand advocacy. And we've started this program called Marketo Life, where the passion of Marketo is permeated inside out. And we're very, very humbled and very honored to have the marketing nation here having so many advocates. And that is being accentuated by the program that we're running brand advocacy inside out. So to recap, folks, if you figured everything else I said today, here's the 3 things. Let's master the art of storytelling. Own 3 attributes in it so that we can take whatever 3 attributes we want and master it. Let's drive adaptive engagement across the life cycle, primarily based on behavior-based marketing. And let's shift our focus from MQLs, leads, impressions, to more engagement metrics. How do we draw in lifetime value, and how do we create brand advocates inside out?